To better understand the assembly making process in Fusion 360, you should first understand the two common types of assembly structures, that is, bottom-up assembly and top-down assembly structure. Let's first take a look at bottom-up assemblies. This is the most traditional assembly modeling technique, and if you are a user of Autodesk Inventor, SolidWorks or any other CAD program, then you must be already familiar with this one. The essence of the bottom-up assembly technique is that each part or component is created as an individual file, which we generally call as part files. And then all of these part files are inserted into an assembly file, where the parts or components are constrained to each other. With this method, most programs do not create a direct link between these parts. If the parts are required to fit together, then you will have to make sure that you design them to the appropriate size before inserting them into the assembly file. If you make a small change in the part, other part will be affected, and you have to make sure that you go back and update those affected parts accordingly and then reinsert them into actual assembly file. On the other hand, we have top-down assemblies. The top-down technique means you start with an assembly file and build all your parts or components within the context of the assembly. Parts can be built in place and can reference each other, making these parts capable of automatically adapting when you change size or location. Fusion 360 falls into this top-down assembly category. Now, to better understand this top-down approach, let's take an example. Here, as you can see, there are two components which constitutes the assembly, and they are joined together with a rigid joint over here. Now, these two components, these two parts, they have not been imported from anywhere. They are made here itself in this assembly file. So there is just one file, a singular file, this assembly file, in which this component and this component is located. So that is the first thing that makes a top-down assembly a new choice for designers. And now for the second thing, we have adaptability. If I change anything in this particular assembly in any of the component, the other component will follow. Let's say we are changing this sketch and we are making the circle a bit shorter. And as you can see, the other component followed and adapted. So this adaptability is the second most important thing in top-down assembly structure, which makes Fusion 360 a choice for the new age designers. So with this lecture, you got the idea of the top-down design approach of Fusion 360, and from the previous lecture, you got to know about the frequently used commands in this particular course. So from the very next lecture, we are going to start with the assembly making process of Fusion 360, starting with the difference between bodies and components.